Hi everyone, welcome to my channel International Storyteller. In this channel you will find true horror stories worldwide. These stories are for entertainment purposes only. In this video, I will tell you the story of one of the most famous Vietnamese ghost stories. This story happened at a building called the Fine Arts Museum in Ho Chi Minh City. Ho Chi Minh City is a city in South Vietnam that was once known as Saigon. During the Vietnam War, Saigon was the capital city of South Vietnam. On April 30, 1975, North Vietnamese troops captured Saigon, and the city was renamed Ho Chi Minh City. Every year, many tourists visit the Fine Arts Museum in Ho Chi Minh City. But what many of them don't know regarding the museum is that this Fine Arts Museum is one of the most haunted places in Vietnam. The museum is believed to be haunted by the ghost of a young girl who died mysteriously in a room inside the mansion. The soul of that young girl still roams the corridors and haunts the Fine Art Museum. Many people claimed that they had seen a shadow figure of a woman through the windows. At night, many people could hear the voice of a young girl crying. Many believed that the ghost was probably the daughter of the former owner of the Fine Arts Museum. Because of all this ghost story at the Fine Arts Museum, some ghost hunters visited the haunted building in Ho Chi Minh City to investigate the ghost. The rooms inside the building can be explored within just a couple of hours. But many rooms are not allowed to be entered, and there is no way you can find the exact location of the room where the ghost originated. The only way to find out the origin of the ghost inside the building is to invoke her spirit. That is why modern-day professional ghost hunters enter the building and try to invoke the ghost spirit using an Ouija board. In this experiment, the group recorded themselves laying out the Ouija board and lighting candles on the floor of a dark, empty room on the second floor of the mansion. With the help of the Ouija board, they are able to connect with the spirit of the young girl that is haunting the building. The group started asking many questions using the Ouija board, but when they asked, "Can we see you?" the coin above the Ouija board moved and formed a short text. The short text was written as "Get lost." Those words terrified them to no end. These are some of the reasons why the mansion, which is now known as the Fine Art Museum, is probably haunted by the ghost of a young girl. But the real story behind this museum may be far more complex than you think. So, who exactly is this restless soul of the young girl, and why is it haunting the building? In order to know this, let us hear the true haunted story of the Fine Arts Museum located in Ho Chi Minh City. In 1934, when the building was first built in Saigon, which is today known as Ho Chi Minh City, it was the home of a business family. The owner of this building is Wee Bon Hoa, but others call him Uncle Hoa. He was an extremely wealthy real estate tycoon in Saigon in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He was a reputed businessman who owned thousands of properties in the city of Saigon. Actually, Uncle Hoa is a Chinese immigrant who moved to Saigon in the late 19th century. He was a penniless man when he arrived in Vietnam, but he went on to become one of the city's wealthiest men. A well-known story claims that Uncle Hoa began his life in Vietnam as a poor garbage collector, but one day he found a bottle full of gold inside while collecting garbage in the street. With that gold, he started working in the pawn business and then moved into the world of real estate business. Over time, he accumulated his wealth and became the king of real estate in Saigon. It's said that his wealth reached the value of more than 20,000 houses. Some of these buildings are still in use today, such as the Government Guest House, Tudu Maternity Hospital, and the Majestic Hotel. Uncle Hoa had 3 sons who eventually joined him to help take care of the growing family business. He also had a young daughter, whose name was Huat Yu Lan. She was a very beautiful and charming-looking girl. Uncle Hoa may be working closely with his 3 sons, but his favorite child was his young daughter Lan. Things started when Lan mysteriously vanished from the public eye by the time she turned 16. She was nowhere to be seen, and her disappearance occurred suddenly and without explanation, almost as if she never existed at all. Though people saw Uncle Hoa's family carrying out their business as usual. During that time, a house builder was hired by Uncle Hoa to build a very special room on the top floor of the house. The inside of this room seemed very beautiful, but the outside was made in such a way that no one could go inside or outside the room easily. After completing the building of the room, the house builder saw a servant deliver food through a hole in the closed door. But he has no idea for what purpose the room was designed. Few months later, one morning, residents came to know that the Uncle Hoa daughter, Lan, had died from a mysterious illness inside the building. Uncle Hoa put his daughter's dead body inside a stone coffin and organized her funeral at Long Hai, which is a town in southeastern Vietnam. Long Hai town is a place that is approximately 79 kilometers from Saigon, where the Fine Art Museum is located today. People have no idea why Uncle Hoa organized her daughter's funeral at Long Hai, which is 79 kilometers from Saigon. Since Uncle Hoa was the wealthiest person in Saigon at that time, many locals thought that he must have put a lot of valuable artifacts and gold inside the coffin containing Lan's dead body. This immediately caught the attention of the local tomb raiders. They thought that Lan's coffin would be filled with gold and expensive items. So late at night, local tomb raiders dig up Lan's tomb in the hope of finding gold in her coffin. But the moment they opened her coffin, there was nothing inside it. Their discovery of the empty coffin was shocking and complicated. But more importantly, they start asking, where was Uncle Hoa's daughter Lan's death body? The rumor of the empty coffin containing Lan's dead body spread across the city. So everybody started to ask, what really happened to Uncle Ho's daughter Lan, and where was her dead body? In order to know this, let us continue hearing the story. In the 1920s, a monstrous disease known as leprosy spread throughout the city of Saigon. This infectious disease causes the nerves to be damaged and the skin to disfigure. At that time, leprosy did not have a cure and was believed to be incredibly contagious. During the citywide epidemic, Lan also contracted leprosy. Due to the infestation of leprosy on Lan's body, her body structure was transformed into a horrid creature. This devastated her father, Uncle Hoa. Her father called dozens of doctors and specialists in the hopes of finding a cure to save his daughter from leprosy. But all his attempts were in vain, and Lan never recovered from leprosy. The Uncle Hoa family was living a great life, but not until their daughter Lan got leprosy. Since leprosy was seen as a highly contagious disease back in the day, they locked up her daughter in the upper room of their family's mansion. Nobody was allowed to interact with Lan, except the servants who brought her meals daily. The servant had to leave right after placing her food through a slot at the bottom of the doorstep. Under any circumstance, the servants were not to look at her face, which had already been disfigured from her loss of eyebrows, eyelashes, and lips. They kept Lan locked inside her room for years. The loneliness and misery of being locked away from everyone drove her insane. Sometimes she screamed helplessly from her room, which was locked from outside. Lan's condition worsened day by day, and eventually, she took her own life in her bedroom prison. Many have claimed that she hanged herself, while others claim that she burned herself alive. Thus, Lan died a quiet and lonely death in her bedroom. Upon discovering Lan's dead body, Uncle Hoa was filled with great sorrow. He missed his daughter so much that he put her dead body inside a stone coffin and continued to place it in her bedroom. During that time, people were so superstitious that they considered leprosy not a disease, but a curse upon the family. The Uncle Hoa family was aware of their public image, so they decided to cover up the fact that their daughter was dead from leprosy. They didn't want their status and reputation to be damaged by a curse. So they announced to the public that Lan was dead from a mysterious illness. Uncle Hoa loves her daughter so much that he never intended to have the coffin buried. But he had to organize a fake funeral to make everything look normal. In a traditional way, they held a funeral for Lan at another family's mansion in Long Hai, which is a town in southeastern Vietnam. Though Lan's real death body actually remained in her bedroom in Saigon, where it was placed in a coffin there. Even after she is dead, Uncle Hoa orders his servant to continue bringing food to his daughter's room daily, as if she were still alive. That spooky routine went smoothly every day until the one-year anniversary of Lan's death. Uncle Hoa wanted to pay respect to the spirit of his dead daughter on the first death anniversary of Lan. So, on that day, Uncle Hoa bought a doll, a plate of rice, and a white dress, and placed them in Lan's room near her coffin. A while later, when the maid came back to Lan's room to collect those things, she was met with a terrifying sight and started screaming. She ran out of the room and shouted, "The lady is back." When other people ran into the room, they were shocked to witness the scary figure of Lan wearing the white dress they offered, holding the doll, and half of the rice on the plate having been eaten. After that scary event, Uncle Hoa believed that her daughter's spirit had returned to the house. Then many strange things started occurring around the house. So, immediately, the Uncle Hoa family buried the coffin containing Lan's dead body secretly. They never spoke of the incident to anyone. But this does not solve the problem. A few days later, many passers-by claimed to have seen a ghostly figure staring out of windows. Many people have also reported seeing the ghostly figure of a woman standing and roaming through the long and dark corridors of the building. Some even heard the sounds of a girl screaming in the middle of night. The scary cries seemed to be coming from somewhere in the house, possibly inside the room where Lan was dying of leprosy. Despite the haunting, the Hoa family continues to live in that mansion. But after Uncle Hoa's death, his family permanently left Vietnam and never returned. Though the haunting of the mansion, which is now known as the Fine Art Museum, still continues even after Uncle Hoa's family's permanent departure from Vietnam.